Okay, so let's get started. Welcome back to Embodied Intelligence Conference 2022. This is on the third day, and we had so far a very exciting event last 2 days. And I would like to have the final day with lots of exciting activities. So let me give you a brief introduction from my end to introduce what was the discussion so far, just to follow up on our discussion in the last 2 days for those who are not here. So this is the program we had in the last 2 days. So we have 100+ talks in the last 2 days, and we actually have more than 700 registrations on this program. Not everyone is on live because of the time difference and for other commitments and so on, but most of the activities are recorded and available in the embodiedintelligence.org program for those interested in watching the NIST lecture. So we had very exciting talks in the last 2 days. I just want to give you a brief introduction of what we discussed so far, and just to remind you what we aim to do in this Embodied Intelligence Conference. So the main idea of this conference is basically discuss the concept of embodied intelligence in order to have interdisciplinary and international discussions from all different disciplinary perspectives, from computer science, AI, to robotics, biology, neuroscience, material science, philosophies, and so on. So all of these representatives who are giving the presentation in the last 2 days to tell us what their views on embodied intelligence and what are the open challenges. And we're trying to understand biological systems or humans in more specific, but at the same time, we want to do the imitating ourselves or animals in order to make some technological advances. And eventually, we're thinking to apply all the theories and technologies in the practical use and utilizing all these technologies for our better lives and societies. So this conference has been looking at embodied intelligence because we know that different researchers have different views and different definitions, characterizations, and we have different views on limitations and the perspectives. So this is something we want to have basic ideas of discussions in this conference. But also, it's particularly important to discuss, why we need to discuss this embodied intelligence now. Because of the rapid progress in artificial intelligence and machine learning technologies, I think it's the increasing interest of how embodied intelligence should be viewed and discussed altogether. But at the same time, we want to deliver embodied intelligence impacts beyond what the AI, conventional AIs can do. And it's very important to develop this international interdisciplinary community here. I think we made a significant success in the last couple of days, refreshing our friendships and our excitement in this field. And we want to have continue these discussions in this community. And toward the end of this today's discussion, today's program, we will discuss. We're going to discuss what is going to be the next steps for collaborations and activities as a community. I know we should continue having fun because we have an excellent program today with a lot of exciting talks and discussions. So I just want to give you a very brief recap of what happened in the last 2 days for those who missed the event so far. So we had 3 excellent plenary speakers, Kenji Doya, Catherine Kuchenberger, and Daniel Wolpert, discussing all relevant topics in embodied intelligence. And especially Kenji has talked about his computational models of human brains and human learning activities. Catherine Kuhenbecker talked about haptic intelligence, her group's activities about how to develop technologies for haptic information or human robot interactions. And Daniel had a very excellent introduction of a contextual inference model to understand complex human motor learning activities. On top of that, we have 10 panel speakers, experts in machine learning, robotics, plant science, and soft robotics, distributed robotics, control engineers, artificial life, and all these discussions were also available in our website. So please do have a look at them if you missed all this discussion. And the second day of this conference yesterday was led by 3 plenary speakers, Kohei Nakajima, talking about the physical reservoir computing. This is a new framework to understand how embodied and the computational intelligence can be understood in theoretical basis. And then Joanne Bryson talking about the social communication of meaning of AI, especially her discussions about how language plays a role in our intelligence. Is a very exciting discussion. And finally, Arisono Kamura talked about human haptic intelligence. Again, one of the real challenges how we can understand human behaviors in terms of haptic interactions, because we still don't know how we can make our robots interacting with the real world, a physical world in an interactive way. So that's one of the missing discussions we had yesterday. And again, we had another 11 panel speakers from biomedical robotics experts to and other robotics material scientists talking about how all these robotics technologies could contribute to our understanding of embodied intelligence. And this was the kind of brief discussion we had. So just to have a bit deeper insight into what embodied intelligence so far, I just made a few slides explaining from my personal point of view, the highlight of discussion so far. So one of the biggest discussions we had so far is something about the brain or no brain discussion. So the first day, we talk about animal intelligence versus plant intelligence. And we discussed, do we really need brain? Why and when we need brain? And especially one of the main function of brain is predicting a future, predicting the consequences. And what is prediction? Do we really need brain for prediction? This was a really stimulating discussions we had in the first day. And also more in-depth discussion about the brain. So old brain versus the new brain. This was the discussions started by Kenji Doya about the brain has many layers and functions. And no single theory can explain all the aspects of brain. So there are lots of research about the complex sensing and perception today. But the little progress is made in the context of complex action. We have a relatively limited capacity, capability of really understanding complex actions from the brain theory point of view. And also, there are many types of motor learning. So this is the discussion initiated by Daniel Warpart. There are many different kind of motor learning, which I was especially interested in. The human can do the strategy learning, skill learning, sequence learning, motion optimization, motion adaptation, and all this different kind of motor learning. actually we don't know most of these ideas, and this was the highlight I learned from his discussion. And finally, the sense of agency, sense of ownership was also a very interesting discussion in the context of haptic interactions. I just want to highlight what we learned from the theories of embodied intelligence. I cannot cover everything we discussed in the last days, but there are many models and the theories introduced in the last 2 days, and this is just some list of a short list of what I have managed to grasp. So the mental simulation action-dependent state transition model proposed by Kenji Doya, contextual task inference was introduced by Daniel Wolpert. Spiking control systems, so spiking aspects of neuron can play a very important role in the control system. So that's proposed by Rodolphe Sepulcre, and the physical reservoir computing by Kohei Nakajima. And the control in robotics, we have a lot of interesting robotics examples, and oscillation CPG as a behavior primitives was initial discussions by Aoki Eispart. Human robotics was one of the big keywords yesterday, how we can understand human as a robotic systems and how we can replicate it in the physical twins. Digestion robots, how we can build soft robots to replicate our digestive activities in our body. Rob Woods talking about the mechanical side of AI, how embodiment can simplify control, perception, and learning. I think mechanical aspects of AI is very interesting discussion yesterday. And finally, the language social aspects of intelligence is one of the big topics in the last 2 days. So how the communication for distributed and coordinated decision-making can be done. And Amanda Prologue proposed some theoretical approach to this kind of distributed nature of intelligent activities. And finally, Joanna Bryson talked about embodied semantic, mimetic semantics, and embodied mimetic semantics. So it's really interesting to discuss whether what's the role of languages in our intelligence and how its relationship with embodiment. So that was also another interesting discussion. Okay, so then just to continue with all these discussions, we're going to have the plenary talk by Ryota Kanai about the Towards a Conscious Machine in a few minutes. And then we have a short talks and panel discussions. And after the short talks, we actually don't have a breakout sessions planned, but I think we're going to do the final discussions to for discussing the next steps of this community and in this research areas. So I would very much like to keep you until the end of today's program, and we're going to have open-ended discussions at the end.